A young woman was found dead in her own home. Almost immediately, the police had a suspect who could very well have been the killer, but the events that unfolded after that resembled a detective series. Ultimately, the police managed to catch the criminal and unearth the unpleasant truth that surfaced during the investigation. In this video, we'll tell you what happened to Sarah June Douglas. Sarah June Douglas was born on August 4, 1987, in Sacramento, California. Besides her, there were 5 other children in the family. Sarah grew up as a very kind, cheerful girl. She was quite sociable and had many friends. She adored animals, especially dogs and birds, spending a lot of time in the garden, caring for flowers, and helping her parents plant trees. As a teenager, her interests shifted, as is natural. She dropped out of school and started spending most of her time with friends and at parties. When Sarah turned 19, she met a young man named Nicholas, and they began a romantic relationship. As a result, in 2007, when Sarah was 20, she gave birth to a son. The young parents decided to raise the child together, but as he grew up, serious problems arose in their relationship, leading to their separation. Each started building their life independently. Despite Nicholas moving to Santa Rosa, located 150 km from Sacramento, he continued to see his son and took part in his upbringing. Sarah, now a single mother with no definite education or profession, faced serious financial difficulties. Despite the support of her mother and sister Stephanie, Sarah struggled to make ends meet as she couldn't find decent work to support herself and her little son. Faced with these difficulties, she decided to start earning money through escort websites, offering intimate services. Working in the sex industry, Sarah was able to overcome her financial struggles in a short period. However, this choice of profession wasn't the best in her life, as it significantly impacted her future. After a couple of years in the escort industry, Sarah met a man who made a huge impression on her. He cared for her and her child, was very reliable, and had serious intentions for their future together. However, ironically, this encounter set the stage for the tragedy that later occurred with the young woman. Orville Fleming, born on June 26, 1958, in California, spent over 30 years being an exemplary husband and father, accumulating more than 24 years of impeccable service in the fire department. In the early years of his career, Orville served as a firefighter in Madera for 3 years, and since 1993, he worked as a fire engineer for the California Department of Forestry, providing fire protection for the city of Sacramento. By 2012, he was promoted to the rank of captain and was elected as battalion chief. Additionally, Orville worked as an instructor at the Fire Academy. With an annual income of $130,000, he led a fairly independent and comfortable life. Orville and his wife Megan seemed to have a successful marriage, giving the impression of being good husband and wife, as well as parents who had raised their adult children well. However, Orville had a small secret. Most of his earnings were spent on his secret passion, hiring young women for escort services through internet websites. At 54 years old, he enjoyed intimate encounters with these women, finding them vastly different from his relationship with his wife. On one of these websites, Orville met a young, attractive woman named Sarah Douglas, who was 24 at the time. He was quite taken with her and insisted that she only date him. Orville and Sarah grew close. She often lamented about her unhappy life as a single mother raising her son independently. He sympathized with her and began caring for Sarah and her son, eventually suggesting they move in together. He promised to divorce his wife, marry Sarah, and take care of her and her son. After parting ways with his wife, Orville moved in with Sarah and her son into a house located in the quiet Fox River area south of Sacramento. Sarah was thrilled with how drastically her life had changed. However, Sarah's parents were concerned about the situation. They were worried about their daughter's relationship with a much older man and the disparity in their social status. Sarah, on the other hand, wasn't greatly bothered by this. She dedicated herself to caring for the home, her partner, her son, and also revived her childhood hobby of breeding birds in the house. Despite the significant age difference, the couple intended to marry, and Orville even presented Sarah with an engagement ring adorned with a large diamond. Orville and Sarah's relationship lasted for about 2 years and wasn't as rosy as it initially seemed. Knowing that Sarah was financially dependent on him, Orville wielded power over her, becoming increasingly controlling and jealous, monitoring her every move. Sarah began to tire of this treatment, suffering from his possessiveness and obsession, complaints she shared multiple times with her sister and mother. Arguments between them became more frequent. Additionally, Orville was in the process of legally divorcing his ex-wife, leading to frequent encounters between Sarah and Megan, which added fuel to the already strained relationship between the couple. On the evening of April 30, 2014, Sarah, her sister Stephanie, and their mother spent the evening at a local gambling establishment. During this time, Sarah expressed her serious intention to end her relationship with Orville and planned to discuss it with him once she returned home. Closer to midnight, Stephanie dropped Sarah off at the house where she lived with Orville and then left. At around 3:00 a.m. on May 1, 2014, a call was made to 911. Stephanie reported finding her sister dead in the house, lying face down with a blood-soaked sheet wrapped around her neck. When the police arrived, they discovered Sarah with multiple stab wounds, scattered items, and blood throughout the house. The authorities immediately sealed off the area around the house and initiated an investigation. They interviewed neighbors and the victim's sister. Stephanie shared everything she knew about her sister's relationship with Orville, her intention to end it, and the heated phone call she overheard between Sarah and Orville after dropping her off. During the call, Sarah suddenly screamed and the conversation abruptly ended. Despite Stephanie's attempts to reach her sister by phone, her calls went unanswered as Sarah's phone was unreachable. Distressed for her sister's safety, immediately after midnight, Stephanie went to her sister's house to check on her, only to tragically discover her already deceased. The forensic examination revealed that Sarah Douglas sustained 14 stab and slashing wounds, presumably from a kitchen knife, with signs of attempted strangulation on her neck and bruises indicating physical assault. No foreign substances or alcohol were found in her blood. Taking into account the testimonies of Sarah's sister and mother, the police identified Orville Fleming as the prime suspect in the brutal murder. Within a few hours, a judge issued a warrant for his arrest. The police began the search for the suspect, and at 7:00 p.m. on the same day, law enforcement in nearby Elk Grove, California, found an abandoned white 2007 Chevrolet pickup truck, which belonged to the fugitive. It was later discovered that the vehicle had been there all day, and its owner had vanished in an unknown direction. The police, through the media, disseminated information seeking an extremely dangerous and armed criminal. Flyers were posted throughout the city, urging citizens to report any suspicious individuals and to exercise caution. The search for Orville continued for several days without yielding any results. Complicating matters due to his firefighting duties, he possessed outdoor survival skills and was well acquainted with the surroundings of Yosemite Valley, the Sierra Nevada, and the Santa Cruz Mountains. Detectives presumed that finding him would be challenging, as Orville also had keys to dozens of government buildings, lookout towers, and storage areas stocked with food and water. Moreover, he owned 2 registered pistols, presumably taken with him. While the search for the suspect persisted, he was dismissed from his position. Orville's ex-wife, Megan, told journalists that Orville Fleming and other firefighters in the department had engaged in intimate encounters with call girls right at their workplace in the fire trucks at the academy. Additionally, a video emerged corroborating these claims, depicting orgies involving fire department personnel and their commander. Due to the severity of these allegations, the Sacramento County Sheriff initiated an official investigation into the incident, uncovering inappropriate behavior among Fire Academy staff. Instances emerged where employees consumed alcohol during shifts, shared explicit photos, and used department vehicles to visit individuals offering intimate services. As a result of the investigation, this case caused a significant public outcry. 16 firefighters, most of whom were Fire Academy instructors, were suspended from their duties and placed on administrative leave without pay. Subsequently, many were either terminated or demoted from their positions. On Friday, May 16, 2014, 2 weeks after the girl's murder, law enforcement finally managed to arrest Orville Fleming as he boarded a bus in Elk Grove, California, where he had been hiding. The following Monday, at the arraignment hearing, Fleming denied all accusations against him and did not confess to the murder. During the hearing, the detained individual behaved provocatively, exhibiting extreme self-assurance. He winked at a police acquaintance in the courtroom, sparking outrage among the victim's relatives who seriously feared that Orville might evade punishment using his connections, acquaintances, and his former position. However, the judge decided to detain Orville for the duration of the investigation and denied bail, considering the real possibility of him attempting to flee again. The trial against Orville Fleming for the first-degree murder of his ex-girlfriend Sarah Douglas began in October 2014. During the trial, Fleming rejected all accusations and officially pleaded not guilty to the crime. Testimonies from the victim's sister and mother were presented as witnesses in court. They recounted the complex relationship between the couple, describing Orville's continuous control and jealousy towards Sarah. They mentioned how he prohibited her from working, having her own bank account, a phone account, or personal transportation. The trial was adjourned for further investigation and resumed only in June 2015. During subsequent court sessions, Orville's attorneys sought to create a positive image of him as an outstanding employee and a family man. They attempted to portray Orville as a victim of the relationship, claiming that Sarah, known for her involvement in the sex industry and alleged substance abuse, had influenced him negatively. According to the defense, Sarah used Orville for her selfish interests and decided to leave him when she got tired of him, thereby destabilizing the suspect. They claimed that during an argument with Sarah, Orville lost consciousness and didn't recall the moment of the alleged attack. Consequently, the defense aimed to downgrade the severity of the charges. Furthermore, Orville's defense tried to evoke sympathy from the jury, asserting that he allegedly attempted suicide 3 times after discovering Sarah dead, a woman he intended to marry. He stated that he couldn't remember the details of the incident and speculated that someone else might have committed the crime while he was unconscious. On July 15, 2015, after the jury found Orville Fleming guilty of second-degree murder, the Superior Court judge sentenced him to 16 years of life imprisonment. Finally, the victims' families found some moral closure in the verdict. The mother of the girl said she was content with the verdict and that Orville Fleming behind bars would no longer harm anyone. Her only regret was that her daughter had to pay with her own life for this outcome. After the incident, to shield his 5-year-old son, Nicholas, from gossip and rumors, he took him and moved to Santa Rosa. Sometime after the girl's death, another tragedy befell Sarah's family, from which they couldn't recover. Sarah's brother, Leroy, who deeply loved his sister, couldn't bear her loss and took his own life. Sarah Douglas, Stephanie, Sarah's sister, stated that the tragedy that happened to her sister should serve as a warning to all girls and women facing any kind of violence from their partners. Relationships built on abuse, humiliation, and submission from one person to another can lead to very sad and tragic consequences sooner or later. Share your opinion about this story in the comments, and don't forget to like this video if you found it meaningful. Thanks for watching,